What's going on, Bulls fans? We got some breaking news for you guys as the Bulls have just signed Talen Horton-Tucker, actually Chicago native, played his collegiate hoops at Iowa State, and a pretty shocking move. This was not something that I expected. So coming up on today's show, breaking down THT, what I think of his game, and how he could possibly fit in this guard rotation here in Chicago. And also the later half of today's video, I just want to go over a kind of a broad view of the Bulls season that is only about a month and a half away. I cannot wait to see some real Chicago Bulls basketball here. But before we dive into it, please hit that subscribe button. I was literally just about to walk out the door and head to my girlfriend's parents' house for a dinner. So if you guys could hit that subscribe button, help us reach 10,000 subscribers here on the channel. We are so close. So I'm begging you guys, please lock us in. Don't miss anything around the Chicago Bulls. I don't care what I'm doing. I could be at a bar. I could be hanging out with friends. If the Bulls make any big-time moves, you guys will have a video from me ASAP. So lock us in and hit that sub button. But let's dive into THT here. So I think he's more well-known for his time with the Los Angeles Lakers. And he was drafted back in 2019. He was the second-round pick 46 overall. And he didn't get a bunch of tick his rookie year with the Lakers. He actually only played in 6 games, only averaged around 13.5 minutes per night, 5.7 points per game. Never has really been a good three-point shooter. His career average is 29.3, but he's got a sneaky long wingspan, 6'4", 234 pounds. And then his sophomore campaign with the Lakers, saw his minutes, saw his games played go up, won around 65 games played, 20 minutes a night, averaged 9 points, 2.6 rebounds, 2.8 assists. And then his third year with the Lakers, very similar stats, 10 points a game, was 41% from the field. A big reason why the Lakers actually ended up trading THT for Patrick Beverley, as they weren't happy with his play. But, I do want to lock in here on his last 2 years with the Utah Jazz, as I'm not saying he was underrated by any means, but he had a pretty good stretch here with Utah. In the 22-23 season, he appeared in 65 games, 20 minutes a night, averaged 10.7 points, 3.2 rebounds, 3.8 assists. And then this past year with the Utah Jazz, 51 games played, 20 minutes a night, 10.1 points per game, 2.4 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. He actually averaged a steal per game this past season. And actually this past season was the highest he's ever shot from behind the arc at 33% from 3 this past year. So my thoughts on THT's game. He's a super physical guard. He's got really sneaky good handle, in my opinion. He's always been a guy that, honestly, I've been way too high on him, in my opinion. Like, he was a guy out of Iowa State that I absolutely loved. I loved his potential. I loved his athleticism. And just watching some of his highlights from this past season, the athleticism is still there. Like, the first highlight I just saw right now is him having an absolute tomahawk jam over DeAndre Ayton. But I do think he's got sneaky good handle. He can play make just a little bit. But the thing is with THT, and this has been my biggest gripe with him so far in the NBA, is he has the athletic ability. He has the talent to be one of the better defenders in the NBA. He's got a super long wingspan. I actually don't know what it specifically is. Let me actually look this up for you guys real quick, because at least just watching this game, you would think he's got one of the biggest wingspans in the league, and he does. His wingspan comes in at 7'1.25" inch for a 6'4" player. That's massive. I mean, to give you guys some context, Isaiah Roby, power forward, he has a 7'1" wingspan. So THT is right up there. That's been my biggest gripe with him. It's like, why hasn't he been a plus defender in the NBA? Like, why hasn't he been that elite defender? And I think that just comes down to want and hustle. And I hate questioning the players, hustle and drive and effort out there on the basketball court, but that's definitely been the biggest question mark with him. But in my opinion, I like this move for the Bulls. This is a guy who, and the deal also, let me get this information to you guys real quick. The deal is a partially guaranteed deal with the Bulls. Shams tweeted this out. The Chicago native returns and will have an opportunity to make the Bulls roster after averaging 10.5 points per game. So it's not a guarantee that he ends up making this team, but he's got good finishing around the rim. He can finish at different angles. But again, this is a guy who, I think the Bulls are just taking a chance on him. Hometown kid, want to get him back in the city he grew up in, playing for the team he loved growing up. So I love that part of the move. I just don't know if he's actually going to make this roster. And, maybe the Bulls are planning a Zach LaVine trade and they just want another guard in there who could potentially develop. But I can't see him getting any real big-time minutes for the Bulls this upcoming season. But again, you never know. Injuries happen. Trades happen, especially we know with this Bulls team. Anything is on the table. But I think this is a move, super low risk, and like a medium reward. Like if he ends up living up to his max potential in the league and he becomes let's just say a playmaking, defensive-minded guard who is 6'4", 7'1" wingspan, then I think it's a good move. But it's not really a risk here for the Chicago Bulls. So I do want to give you guys my thoughts on the Bulls season as a whole in just a second. But you guys grade the signing for me down below in the comments section. Give me an A, B, C, D, or F. I just got to give this a B. This is not really anything where the Bulls are, risking anything by this move. And they're just taking a chance on a hometown kid where maybe he could develop playing for the franchise he loved growing up. So you guys let me know. Grade the signing down below in the comments section. One real quick note for all my Chicago high school hoop heads out there. I played high school hoops from, 2014 to 2018. And THT, I believe, was in the same class, if not the year before I was. And I remember it was him and this other guard named Xavier Pinson. They played at Simeon at the time, and they were electric in high school. They were must-watch TV. I mean, they were obviously, two of the better players in the state at the time. But a little quick note there, they were electric in high school, man. One of the better high school teams I've ever seen in my life. But I do want to wrap it up, just giving you guys my thoughts on the Bulls season. Right now, Vegas has the Bulls over-under at 27.5, and I think that is Vegas banking on a Zach LaVine trade happening because hypothetically, if the Bulls do keep LaVine on this roster, there's just too much talent for them not to win at least 30 games. Like, you think about just a 10-man rotation. You got Giddey at the 1, Kobe White at the 2. Love both those guys. Whatever you think about Zach LaVine, I've been the biggest probably hater of him. If you want to call it that, even though I just think it would be the right move for the Bulls to move off him. But he's a very talented basketball player. I mean, he is a top 40 player in the world for a reason. And then you got at the 4, Patrick Williams, if he ever ends up developing into the guy we hope he could. And then you got Vooch, Jalen Smith at your center rotation. Still got guys like Ayo coming off the bench, Torrey Craig. Like, the Bulls have a good enough team where if they don't trade anybody, they will win 30 games. And that is my biggest concern heading into the year, is if the Bulls, for some whatever reason, if they are heading into the season where it's like, all right, we're going to up Zach LaVine's trade value. We're going to get him a ton of shots early, and we're just going to see if a team could throw us whatever type of draft capital or young player for him, where I think the Bulls could honestly find themselves almost tricking themselves into thinking they can compete for a playoff spot. And I think that'll be the worst thing in the world. The worst thing that can happen this season for the Bulls is that they win 35, 38 games. They make the play-in tournament. They lose yet again. You don't make the playoffs. Even if you do make the playoffs and you're the 8th seed, I still think that would be a disaster. And you lose that first-round pick next season, which could be a lottery ticket to get Cooper Flag. And nothing moves the needle more in sports than either getting a top-tier basketball player, top 10 player in the world caliber type of star, or getting a franchise quarterback in football. Take the Bears, for example. What would we be saying about the Bears if they still had Justin Fields at quarterback? Even if they made the additions of Keenan Allen. Oh, the whole nine. The defense getting better. Adding more weapons. DeAndre Swift. All this. But if you don't have the quarterback right, doesn't matter. And I think the same thing applies to the NBA. If you don't have that top 10 player in the world on your team, does it really matter what else you do? So I think the Bulls, they need to do whatever it takes to land Cooper Flag. I think he's legit. I think he's going to be one of the next up-and-coming stars in the NBA. Lose games this season, develop the young guys, trade LaVine, trade Vooch, and hopefully this time next year, we're talking about this Bulls team with maybe Buzelis, Kobe, Ayo, Williams, Jalen Smith, and maybe we have Cooper Flag. We're feeling a whole lot differently about this team, or if they just, lose their first-round pick next season, what are you doing? I think that would be a disaster. But thank you guys so much for watching today's show. Really do appreciate it. So hit that subscribe button if you guys haven't already, and we'll see you guys next time. Go Bulls.